Hello, everyone. Hello to the one gnome that watches my videos. I know who you are. You can't hide forever. You thought you could hide. I know who you are. I'm watching you. My name is Slappy Burger, and welcome to part 13, is it? Part 13 of my journey through Minecraft. Today we are going to build a lighthouse. I can't think of a more beta build besides maybe a castle than a lighthouse. But before we build a lighthouse, you probably already heard him. We have a dog. I was doing a bit of exploring and I found a dog and I happened to have bones and I had found other dogs before and I've tried to tame them and they would always eat like half a stack of bones because they're stupid. But this one didn't. It only ate like 5. And I brought him home with me. And the amount of times he almost died when I was trying to get him home was a little excessive. He The wolf AI in this game or in this version is absolutely just horrendous. It is like I literally watched him because I came over this hill to get home. I literally like instead of, deciding to take the long way and be safe, I just kind of like jumped down this. And he literally just like fell from like maybe right where my cursor is down to like here and then fell off from that down to here. And somehow survived. But there were many other tumbles and falls that he took, and he was also jumping at creepers and stuff when I was hitting him. He very suicidal. It's a bad word. I can't say that. Very much wants to unalive himself, wolf. Okay. um, but yeah, we have a wolf now, and I need name suggestions. So, whichever one I like the most in the comments, or maybe the most liked one or something, who knows? Let's go by likes. I want you guys to pick it. So you guys place your names in the comments and then like the comment that you think would be the best name. And we'll name the wolf this. We'll name the wolf that. But he doesn't have a name. His temporary name is Mouse. I named him Mouse. But I want you guys to name him. So yeah, we got a wolf now. But yeah, today we are going to build a lighthouse. I've already kind of decided where I want to build it. And it's actually right over here. I want as much black wool as possible. Hunting squids is pretty terrible. I mean, they spawn all over the place in the water over here, but I want as much wool and specifically black wool as possible. But I'm going to be building the lighthouse right there. Now, I will say it is probably the worst place for a lighthouse because if we actually look here, this entire body of water is basically surrounded by land. This does lead to another bigger body of water, but there's all these like little, you can kind of see them over there, like little sand bank things that are up in the water there. And no ship, no ship is fitting through either around either sides of these islands. Although lighthouses, I believe, typically weren't so much to show you where to go, they were more so there to show you where not to go. Although, feel free to correct me on that. But yeah, for now, we're just going to go ahead and get this kind of area leveled out. But I wanted to build a lighthouse just because I feel like that is the most, or at least one of the most beta builds is you can build as a lighthouse. I swear to God, everyone built a lighthouse. I know I built lighthouses when I was playing Minecraft a long time ago. Didn't play beta, but even early full release versions, I was building lighthouses. And yeah, we're gonna build one. My inspiration for this lighthouse is the Bodie Island lighthouse. I think technically it's pronounced Body Island, but it's spelled Bodie. So I'm gonna call it Bodie because that just sounds like it makes more sense to me. But I'm pretty sure it actually is pronounced Body Island. It is a lighthouse in the Outer Banks of the United States. And one of like 4 or 5 out there. I don't really know if they still actually use it because now naval navigation is a lot better. But back in the day, a long time ago, up until World War II even, they called the Outer Banks the graveyard of the Atlantic because so many ships would run aground there or just sink off the always constantly moving sandbanks. If you ever get the chance to go to North Carolina, the Outer Banks are quite possibly some of the coolest stuff ever, especially if you're interested in like naval history and the history of the United States, that place is huge. That was like one of the first places that um, early settlers, early white settlers came and landed off the Outer Banks. That's where like Roanoke was. So like one of the very first colonies was out there. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I'm going to build the lighthouse here, and it's going to be based off the Bodie Lighthouse. It's not going to be a one-to-one replica, um, simply because we don't really have enough space for it. So we're just going to make something that kind of looks like it. It's going to be based off of it as opposed to it is that lighthouse. So what we're going to start with, just to kind of, because I've been given a lot of thought, part of the reason why it's taken so long to come out with this video isn't just because, well, for one, I've been getting my butt kicked with work, but on the other hand, I have, I guess, well, for two, I've kind of run into a block. I don't really know what I want to do right now. So if people have suggestions as to what I should do, feel free to leave them in the comments, because sometimes I be running out of ideas. But what I'm thinking is we're going to start with a stone, like a smooth stone slab foundation. Maybe we could use some of those crash slabs for it. That might be cool. Although I'm pretty sure those disappear one day, so maybe it would just be better to use the stone brick slabs. But we're going to build a foundation for it. And then we're going to do a tower up. And I'm thinking I'm going to make the main tower out of like snow and black wool. So if you've ever seen the Bodie Island Lighthouse, Bodie Island, whatever you want to call it, it is a lighthouse that is black and white, and it has white. It alternates between white, black, white, black, white. So it has 3 white patches and then 2 black patches, and they're in perfect stripes. And then the top is a cast iron light room fixture thing. But I think for the light room, we're either going to use wood or stone slabs again. I'm leaning more towards stone slabs, but stone brick could be cool. So let me go ahead and get the stone slabs, actually, and then we'll go ahead and get started on this guy. I'm going to even this out, too. I think that just generated like that, but it was kind of bugging me. So we're just going to go ahead and make it look like that. So I'm going to go get those stone bricks, and then I'm thinking for the stripes, what we're going to do is not white wool, but we're going to use snow blocks. Snow blocks are definitely a cool block to use. I haven't really used them yet at all. Actually, I haven't used them at all yet. But we have quite a few of them, but we're probably going to need more. So I'm going to preemptively collect more. I collected a lot of ink sacks for black wool, and we of course have plenty of wool in here. Something I did want to mention is we were messing with block transmutation last episode, and something I discovered is that if you use wool in it, all of it turns into lime green wool. So if you put wool into that little transmutation machine I was messing with, it becomes lime wool. But I didn't test what happens if you put lime wool into it. I'm not sure if it just defaults to lime wool or if it turns into something else. But yeah, every single type of wool just turns into lime wool if you put it in there. Yeah, let's go ahead and get just like a bunch of black wool made here. Like I said, we're probably going to need more of basically every resource we have. Get this crafted up. And I kind of learned that if I like butterfly click, it allows me to like craft a lot faster, because like this is me normally clicking through it, and then if I like butterfly click, it like goes way faster, because for some reason you can't just like, in the last version we could shift click and it would craft an entire stack like it does in modern Minecraft, but for some reason in beta 1.7.3 that just disappeared. It must have been a bug or something on or they thought it was a bug at that time. But I don't know. I kind of miss being able to do that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and craft this black wool up. And then I think before we actually start like officially building this thing, we should kind of get like a general consensus on how big we want this thing to be. So what my idea is Let me pull up my reference photo again. So yeah, it starts with white, and then we can go from there. So let's see how big we want this thing. I still want it to be semicircular. Um, it doesn't need to be like a perfect circle, but I just want to see what it will kind of look like. And we're going to follow this. We're just going to use the white wool for now, just as marker blocks, but we'll use snow for the actual body of the thing. So what I'm thinking is we'll do we'll start here. How to do 5 like this, and then just 1 in the corner here. And that's actually going to be the size of the actual like base of the tower is going to be this. Not the foundation, but the actual base of the tower. And then the base of the tower itself is just slightly bigger than the actual tower itself. So I guess we'll kind of put just a bunch of stone bricks here following this trim. And then that'll be the foundation for it. So yeah, let's leave these here for now just so we know how big we're going to make the thing. And then we'll really start working on it. So I'm going to go get some snow. And then I'm going to go get probably a lot more ink sacs. We're probably going to need a lot more of those. And then we'll do the hardest part, which is probably going to be building the thing that houses the light itself. And because I'm a goober, I'm going to talk about history of the Outer Banks and why I think it's so cool and why you should definitely visit there. But for now, I'm going to go away so I can gather just a few more resources. Then we'll really get building on that guy. So I've gathered up a lot more snow. Now I'm mostly just concerned about the amount of black wool we have. But since we're back with the snow, let's go ahead and get the foundation laid for this lighthouse. I'm thinking something pretty much just like this. So nothing too crazy. This is just going to be the outline of it, and then we'll fill it in with stone brick. Second. And just like that. Go ahead and remove all this wool. Since I'm silly, and I really like history a lot, and I really like the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and since we're building something, or at least we're building this thing that's based off of something that's in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, I feel like I should give a little bit of a history lesson that no one asked for. So, starting out, the lighthouse we're building, right? This lighthouse is I mentioned it before, it's the Body Island, something like that, lighthouse. And it's one of multiple lighthouses out in the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks are known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic. And there's a couple other places that have that name too. But the Outer Banks of North Carolina are known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic. And the reason for that is because of just how many ships have wrecked off the coast of North Carolina on the Outer Banks. Pull up my reference here real quick, and I'll keep explaining things. So yeah, this is the Bodie Island Lighthouse, one of multiple lighthouses out in the Outer Banks. And the Outer Banks is the known as the Graveyard of the Sea. And the reason for that is because of just how many ships have sank out there. You can find like huge maps of things and ships that have sunk out in the Outer Banks, and there's so many to count. There are some important, there are some not so important. There are a lot of them. Now I'm having a hard time remembering how this thing went. So Didn't it? Yeah, this is how it should. I think I'll pull out the foundation a little bit further. But um, there are so many ships that sank out there. Some historical, some not so historical. Um, but a lot of those ships, at least talking about the, I guess, historically significant ones, include the not technically the Queen Anne's Revenge, but Blackbeard was caught and killed out in the Outer Banks. Um, on top of that, there was the USS Monitor, the a Union ship from World War, or not World War, the Civil War that sank out there. The USS Monitor was an ironclad ship. It was lost in a storm out there. Then we have the German U-boat. I believe it's 576 U-boat 576. Was a menace during World War II. Absolutely wreaked havoc on the Ally convoys in the Atlantic. It was sunk off the coast of North Carolina, and there's actually like 3 or 4. There's actually 3 or 4 U-boats off the coast of North Carolina. I want to say it was called the no, the Manassas did not sink off of there. The Confederate Manassas did not sink off of North Carolina. But yeah, there's a lot of ships out there, a lot of famous shipwrecks that sank off of the coast of North Carolina. And the Outer Banks are actually a rather interesting place as a whole, just because of the fact that there's so much random history out there. I mean, the Outer Banks of North Carolina are where some of the first settlers of the United States settled. They settled on Roanoke, that was out there in the Outer Banks. And of course, Roanoke, that colony went basically missing without a trace. And there's many theories as to what happened to them. Some include the Native Americans or the indigenous people wiped them out. Some people think they died of disease. Some people think that they assimilated with the natives because they found some native people out there with blue eyes. There's all sorts of theories as to what happened to the Roanoke colony, although there is no confirmed answer for that. I did mention that Blackbeard was caught and killed out in the Outer Banks. That is 100% true. A British Navy lieutenant by the name of Lieutenant Maynard was tasked with tracking him down and killing him. And he actually did succeed with that off of Ocracoke Island on the Outer Banks. Yeah, they caught him out there. He actually, once he was killed, they cut his head off and like tied it to the front of the ship as proof that he was killed. And Maynard was very, very upset about this event because they actually didn't really credit him all that much for it. Like, they credited him for it, but they didn't really reward him for it. They gave a like 400 euro reward or something like that at the time, which, if you do the math for inflation and stuff like that, as of 2025, that was like $79,000 or something ridiculous like that. So a pretty big, hefty sum of money. And it was split, that $400 was split up amongst him and like the crew of like 2 or 3 other ships. And 2 of those 3 ships really didn't even get involved in the fight at all. So basically, a bunch of people that weren't even involved in the fight in the first place were given credit for Maynard's victory. And the way he won was, it's actually kind of sick. He went up to Blackbeard's ship with a smaller like sloop vessel, and none of the people with him were wearing any sort of like British, because he was a British Navy lieutenant. None of them were wearing like their Navy garb. So when they approached, when they found Blackbeard's ship off of Ocracoke, they went up there and completely out of uniform, basically challenged him. And he was like, we're going to fight you, and we're not taking any prisoners. And Edward Teach, Blackbeard, was like, I'm not taking prisoners either. And they actually shared a drink with each other. Maynard and Teach, they shared a drink with each other before the fight. And just realized I'm playing on peaceful. I was playing on peaceful because I was idling, waiting for it to snow. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I do be putting the game on peaceful. But yeah, basically Teach, Edward Teach, Blackbeard, he basically was like, I'm not taking prisoners, nor will I be taken prisoner. I'm not surrendering. And he actually, in that fight, they trapped him in an inlet off of Ocracoke and basically had him locked in there. They found him moored in like an inlet, and the inlet was very narrow, and it had 2 exits. So they essentially made it impossible for him to escape with the 2 other boats, and they used another boat to engage him. The boat they used to engage him, of course, had Maynard on it, and that boat took a devastating blow, broadside from the Queen Anne's Revenge, and it killed a lot of his men. So at that point, Blackbeard decided to attempt to board the ship himself, and Maynard had a few of his men up on the deck and put the rest of them down underneath the ship. And Blackbeard saw this as an opportunity. He threw a bunch of like basically jerry-rigged grenades onto the ship that caused a lot of smoke and explosions and fire. And in the smoke, Maynard hid the rest of his crew, and Blackbeard boarded the ship and saw nobody on this ship. Like, he saw very few people. And to Blackbeard, this was going to be the easiest victory ever. All he saw was an attempt. All he saw was an easy victory. That's all he saw. So he boarded the ship, attacked Maynard, and upon his signal, when they boarded the ship, he called out the rest of his men. And a lot of them came out and ambushed the crew and Blackbeard. And of course, that was where Blackbeard died. Now, believe it or not, Blackbeard actually took 5 bullets and 20 slashes before he officially died. So the man put up a strong fight. And apparently his crew was also very, very well, I guess very, very well trained, because they also put up a very good fight. But of course, no prisoners were taken. And that is how we get the story of Blackbeard's death. And yeah, it's a very interesting story to think about, that Blackbeard was killed off the coast of North Carolina. It's something that people probably know, or maybe just don't know at all. And before I keep yapping about history, this is what I think the general tower part is going to look like. I'm getting jumped by mobs. That scared me. But yeah, I think that's what the tower is going to look like. Something like this. I'm going to sleep, so it's actually daytime. So now we can start figuring something out for the, whatever you call the top of it, the actual light. I want to put glowstone in the middle of it, but we'll see kind of what's going on first before we do that. But yeah, there's a lot of history off of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. This lighthouse, for example, so the Body Island Lighthouse, the one that currently stands in North Carolina is actually the 3rd Body Island Lighthouse. There were 3 of them. The first one was blown up by the Confederates because they, as the tide of the Civil War was starting to change, they didn't want the Union being able to use it as a lookout spot. So they blew it up, and then it was built again in the late 18 in the shortly after that, where it was discovered that the foundation was super weak, so they had to demolish it. And then, of course, we have the one that stands today, which is the current one, and is still standing today. And it had renovation done on it a few times, and general repairs. Like in 2011, Hurricane Irene messed up the actual lighthouse part pretty bad, so they had to repair that. But it hasn't been damaged or anything since, and now it's a national park, believe it or not. It doesn't actually cost money to get into it or anything, but it is part of the U.S. National Park Service. Um, so let's see how we want to do this. So we could, I think for now, we'll build it out to the same kind of general layout as the snow that's down there. Then we'll kind of going from there. Maybe push it out a couple more blocks depending on what the situation is. But yeah, this lighthouse actually has a lot of history behind it too, and not many people talk about it. I mean, it is just a lighthouse, but it is a very old lighthouse, and I don't even really know if people use lighthouses nowadays, because I think I mentioned that before, because naval navigation is like pretty good now. So I don't really know if they actually use it as like an actual lighthouse now, but they over the years have changed it from gas lights to electric lights, and now it's part of it's like connected to a local city grid now at this point. So I'm definitely going to need more stone slabs, that's for sure. I think we might follow this general layout with stairs for the actual tower here. So we'll just replace this wall with stairs once we get there. And then we'll figure out where we can put some windows, because this thing does have windows on it. I'm going up the tower. It has, I believe it's 2 on the front and 3 on the backside. So 2 on the black parts of the tower, and then 3 on the white parts of the tower facing out towards the sea. So we'll, I guess I'm going to cut it again just so I can get more stone slabs, and then we'll continue building from there. Hey, look at that. I just finished smelting all the stone. We have a pink sheep. Gimme, gimme. Stay over there. Stay away. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and... So now we're going to start taking some creative liberties, if you will. Because at this point, now it's going to come down to figuring out how we want to actually build the top of it. Obviously... Obviously, I don't want to tear the whole thing down. But when it comes to these like lighthouses and stuff, they tend to have like a housing unit like within the yes, okay. They tend to like have a like essentially there's a window here, and then there's a window with the bulb inside of it. So you have 2, I guess, layers of glass that we have to account for here. So let's see what we can't come. Gosh, let's see what we can come up with for that. We're gonna start with trying to see if we can make it as. Let's see. So this will be the center block here. I want to try and keep it even with the foundation, which I might pull the foundation out a little bit more, which we might have to do anyway. So go ahead and remove all of these. Want these to be smooth stone slabs. No, wait, we want to bring this up one more. I did the thing again. I always do that, where I make it one too short. We want each of them to be symmetrical. So these guys are gonna come down, then we're gonna raise it up one more level, and then we'll figure out what this roof will look like. But yeah, some other Outer Banks facts that nobody asked about. So obviously there were a lot of like shipwrecks and stuff out there. One of the main reasons why there were so many shipwrecks is actually not so much because it was hard to navigate. Well, it was hard to navigate, but the reason it was hard to navigate was because the Outer Banks are really just sandbanks. They're not really much of anything else. It's just sand. And with the ocean currents, those are constantly being pushed around to all sorts of places. So it's really hard. Ow. It's really hard to navigate those sandbanks. And so that's why there's so many lighthouses out there, is to help people navigate through the sandbanks. However, those sandbanks are, I'm gonna cry, dude. What am I doing right now, bro? I am too. Oh my gosh. That is actually the second death of the world. I'm so glad you guys get to see me be an idiot on camera. That is crazy. Maybe I shouldn't try to mansplain random Outer Banks facts while I build, but that's not going to stop me. That was nothing. That was a minor setback. Anyways, as I was saying, the Outer Banks are sandbanks, and with the ocean currents, they're constantly being like cycled around. So the sand doesn't really like go away permanently per se, but it is constantly being just moved around to all sorts of places. Oh no, did it all go in the water? That sucks so much, bro. Oh, some of it's up here. Okay. Thank God. I thought all of it went into the water and I would have cried. It's like a lot of it did not, which is really good. Ah, okay, yeah, we have all of our tools back. Whew. Okay. That was... I was getting scared for a second. Anyways, with the sand always being cycled around and stuff, that causes a lot of movement, like literal movement of the islands. So where the islands sit right now was not where the islands were sitting like hundreds of years ago, for example. There were these houses built on the Outer Banks that were built in the 1920s, and they are practically in the water now. They are raised up on stilts, but they are practically in the water at this point. And a couple of them have collapsed. Many of them were demolished before they could collapse, but a lot of them are collapsed. And yeah, the stuff is always moving around. The first successful plane ride was done out there in Kitty Hawk. You can go out to the Outer Banks. There's a Kitty Hawk memorial where the Wright brothers tested their first plane. So that's a pretty interesting little thing that you can do out there, is go visit the Wright Memorial and the Wright Museum. Oh yeah, those shipwrecks. So I did mention that there were a lot of shipwrecks over the years. With that being the case, there's actually a now distinct species of horses, completely wild, that live out in the Outer Banks. And they were part, when the Europeans were bringing over horses for convenience and all sorts of stuff. Many of those ships would run aground because of the ever-changing sandbanks and stuff like that. And these horses would swim to shore, and they couldn't really keep them in check. If you have a bunch of, early settlers coming over and then they all lose their ship, that's probably, the horses getting out is probably the least of their worries. So they didn't really do anything to try and keep them in. And there's a pretty big and still growing population of horses. And for all intents and purposes, they are wild now. out. They are not domesticated. It's actually illegal to go like anywhere too close to them. It's actually, so believe it or not, it is a crime to get too close to the horses. Like if there is a horse like outside your house, you literally have to like call your boss and be like, "Hey, I can't make it in on time because there's a horse at my doorstep and I'm not allowed to touch those." And your boss will be like, "Yeah, you're not." So those horses are actually so distinct, in fact, from other horse breeds that a lot of things that horses, you give a horse an apple, right? Can't do that with the horses on the Outer Banks because they are so distantly related now that like their digestive tracts literally can't process like certain foods now. And in fact, if you wanted to give one of those horses an apple, not only is it a criminal offense to feed them, but it's also could kill them because their body literally cannot process the stuff you're giving them. So yeah, wild horses run around on some of the islands out there, and they all kind of follow around in packs. Really interestingly, so they're kind of like pack animals. And so yeah, there's just all these horses that run around on the Outer Banks too. So yeah, there's just the Outer Banks are just a really cool, underrated place in the United States that if you ever have the chance to visit it, I would highly recommend because there is so much history. There's a lot of cool places out there. If shopping's your thing, there's plenty of shopping. Plenty of like tourist trap kind of shops. Plenty of beaches that are very pretty. If you want to see dolphins, dolphins are swimming around out there. The beaches are like almost overrun with I don't know what they're called, but they're essentially like manta ray eggs. Like, so rays are out there, laying eggs that wash up on the shore. And because of the ocean currents, there's always like really cool shells and stuff getting pushed up in there. It's not like crystal blue water, but it really is a very nice experience out in the Outer Banks. Absolutely adore it out there. Definitely my favorite place in North Carolina. I used to live in North Carolina. And the Outer Banks are definitely a highlight of my time in North Carolina. So would highly recommend anyone who ever has the opportunity to go to North Carolina to try and make their way out to the Outer Banks if they haven't. Very cool place. I love the history there. It's just, and like I said, it was like the first place that the European settlers came to, which I'm not going to talk about, like, the ethics of some of the stuff they did, but it is really interesting to know that North Carolina was kind of like the starting place for a lot of things. Like, that's when, like I said, the Europeans first came over there. A lot of crazy naval history over there throughout the years. Very pretty. Blackbeard terrorized everything over there. Just a really cool place. So I think we are going to start, I think we're going to expand this out one more block. And then... Now what just happened? Bro, oh my gosh. I'm gonna start tweaking so hard if I fall off that water. If I fall off that thing one more time, I'm gonna tweak. My pinky was hammered down on that shift key. There is no way that could have happened. Just bring a bunch of food with us, I guess. Wow, that's annoying. I need to quiet down. I'm taking out all my anger on these mobs that are running around out here. It's their fault. That's one thing. You know what? If anything inconveniences me in my life, whether it is actually my fault or it's someone else's fault, it's not actually my fault. It's never my fault. Okay? It's always the other party's fault. But what I'm thinking for this lighthouse out here is we're going to not make the mistake I just made, for one. And then we're going to kind of see if we can't make like a overlook sort of thing. I'm hoping I have enough space to do that. If not, we're just going to go with what we have here. But I would like a general sort of like, I guess, like an area that has like fences on it so we don't fall off, and it's like outside. It's like an overlook outside, so kind of like a lookout deck or something. But if not, then we're not going to fret over it because, again, this is the part where we're taking creative liberties. I'm just going to break this real quick to see what we have to work with here. So the center block is, I believe, still this one. So we're going to still mark that. And then if we do, I guess I shouldn't have broken that. If we do keep this here like this, this is where the light's going to go. Yeah. And then we're going to kind of, instead of fences, I'm just going to do this. We could make the foundation bigger, but I feel like that would look a little wonky, so I'm just going to do this instead. If we really want to go out there, I guess we could just place some blocks out there, but we're just going to fill this in with smooth stone. This gives us a much bigger overlook of the land. You know, if we want to make this seem more like an actual ocean thing, we could just remove those islands entirely. I might do that. Just to make this lighthouse seem like it makes more sense. Okay, and then, so when we're in here, actually, what if we just made this a bit wider, like this? And then, so now we have two spaces to walk around with. We're going to put the glowstone right here. And then this guy actually gets shortened down by one. I'm going to take a look at what this looks like down from below before I officially say that this is the look, but I think this is actually coming together a lot better than I thought it was, or thought it would, I should say. From a distance, I don't think that looks too bad. I don't think I'm going to make, I guess, like an outlook sort of area on it. So we got the glowstone. Ugh, I'm going to have to smelt more glass too. Great, love that. Then, let's see how this looks. So I'm going to start with one design, and then I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to let you guys tell me if it looks good. Like, would we rather keep it with the glass, or would we rather do this other idea? So my first idea is what we're going to do is we're going to make it a sort of like, I'm just going to do it. So we're going to build it like this. And then just have glass completely surrounding it. Sort of like this. And then we'll cap it off with some stone slabs. So something like this. Or do you guys think it would look better if I replaced all the glass with glowstone? I guess I'm gonna break my sword, but it's my first diamond sword. I don't know. I gotta watch out. I think I have another diamond sword, but I'm gonna hold off. No, I gotta make sure it's fine. Honestly, I think it's gonna look better if I just put glowstone on it instead. Just like a big block of glowstone, I guess. And we don't have enough glowstone. Thanks. Okay, but I think this would look better than the glass surrounding it. And then these blocks will actually put the glass on. We'll make it 3 tall as well. And then we'll cap it off with bluestone slabs. It's going to be... Hopefully this doesn't look like too terrible from the bottom. That's what I'm mostly worried about. Is it... Because up here it looks fine. I don't know what it's going to look like down there. So let's see what we have right now. And then I'm probably going to cut it again so I can smelt more glass. I'm not going to make people sit there and wait for glass to smelt for like 10 minutes. Obviously, it's not done yet, so... I don't know. I think that looks okay, right? I mean, it's obviously not the finished product yet, but... Let's, Alright, I'm going to smelt some glass, and then I'll come back again once I, get that done, I guess. Alright, I'm getting this glass placed down, so that we actually have it, and... Once we get this last layer here put in, switch back to the slabs. Now, I'm making a lot more of these resources than I need, but there's going to be a time where we definitely use them. I can't imagine there not being another build where we, like, don't use glass. Like, glass is such a versatile block. I couldn't imagine that we won't go through this stuff rather quickly. We can see, like, everything from up here, too, which is really cool. Still not as tall as our farm, though, which is somewhat surprising. I'll get more glowstone here after a while. I'm going to put that off as long as possible because that's still my least favorite thing to do is go to the nether. So this put in, and then we'll figure out on shaping it. It's this a little bit. There we go. I guess we'll just follow the trim of this guy here. I think the roof should match that little overhang there. Okay. Once we get this down, I think we'll go down again and see what it looks like now that it's more complete. Then we'll figure out something on how to cap this guy off, like actually make this part look not flat. Which, I'm going to be honest, roofs with a hole, or roofs that are like round and stuff like that, I struggle with a lot. So, guess we'll see how it looks. But right now, how does it look? Like this. It looks a little derpy because it's flat, but I think that looks pretty good. I might actually trim back the overhang part a little bit, though. Like right here on the bottom. I'm going to get the roof done first, just so we can get the hardest part out of the way. And then we'll come back and see how it comes from there. And then I guess we'll also get these stairs replaced with something a bit nicer than wool. Probably actual stairs. But I guess we'll come around to it. I am really enjoying this build. I think it could be because I'm talking about history the whole time, but I am really enjoying this build. It's good all the way around. And then I guess we'll do actual blocks for this one, I guess. Then fill this in. We might have to make more stone slabs. I guess I could fill this in with a different block, but oh well. Kind of live with it like this. Something like that, maybe? make more torches too. How do we get down? All right, guys, place your bets right now. Will this fall in the water kill me right now? Because it has to be like 3 deep for it to survive. Let's see. Oh, okay. So let's see what it looks like now that we have something of a roof complete. And then we'll make some last minute adjustments there. And then I'll edit this guy and get it pushed out. I'm definitely thinking the play is just removing that, like, barrier or whatever you want to call this here, this overhang on the bottom. I'm going to remove that first and then see what it looks like. Then I'm going to, if that doesn't help fix it a little bit, I'm going to look at getting the roof looked at, because the roof, it might be too, like, might be too flat. Maybe I need to lower the little thing on top by 1 block. I don't know. I'm gonna sleep, remove that little layer there, and then I'll think of something for the roof. Okay, so yeah, I think that makes it actually look a lot better just by replacing that. So now let's figure out something for the, I guess, the top there. I think I'm gonna try, I honestly think maybe just that little, like, spire thing is slightly too tall. I'm also gonna make some torches because I'm gonna light that area up there a little bit more. But I think honestly, if we just remove that little spire piece entirely, I think that might actually fix it. Actually, I think that works. I think that looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, I like that. You can't tell it's the Bodhi Island Lighthouse because it's just like, it's not the exact same, especially with the top of it. The top of it's like completely different, but it is inspired by it. So I think that wraps up that. So now we can get the glowstone. We literally just need like 2 pieces. So I guess I'll just fight through hell real quick and then get the glowstone for that. Used a lot of, I mean, I'm gonna need more glowstone anyway. Might as well get some, but gosh, just going over here. I'm already in the nether at this point. Okay, that glowstone's in. And now, I think the last thing we have to do is just replace these wool blocks here with stone stairs. I'm going to try it with stone stairs. We're going to see if the game will actually cooperate with me and they'll work. Because sometimes the stairs just really don't like to work all that well. So hopefully they will. If not, then we're just going to replace it with probably more stone slabs. Keep everything kind of matching. Alright, so let's see if these guys cooperate with us. Oh. I guess we would probably need like a landing here. Maybe this is not going to work out the way I thought. This is probably going to take a bit longer than I thought. Well, it should still be okay. We'll make the landing here. And then we'll just kind of go up like this. Instead of it starting here, let's if we can't make it start over here. Like this. Looks a little funky from the inside, but I think that's going to be the end of this build. Yeah. I'm liking this. I'm liking this guy. See everything from up here. Nice little vantage point. See our mob grinder. We get a nice view of pretty much the whole base. Big old tree here is kind of blocking our decorations back there, but I think I'm liking this more with just this big block of glowstone instead of the glass I had surrounding the little pillar in the middle. Let's get one more look from the outside. Yes, this is perfect. This is perfect. I need to add a door. Probably gonna go ahead and add a door in a minute. But, yep. I think that's gonna actually wrap up the video. I do need to add a door to the thing there, but overall, I think this looks really good. I might see if I can't add some windows in there somewhere to see if I can't find a way to consistently add windows to where it's even the whole way up without it being blocked by the stairs. Although I don't really know if that's really applicable considering how the stairs go up. But yeah, this is a really cool build. I enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed just gapping everyone's ears off with random history and facts about Outer Banks of North Carolina. Go there. I'm dead serious. Go there. It's so cool. Yeah, that really kind of fills in that empty space that was over there. I'm kind of thinking about it. Maybe we'll build a port over there. I did say maybe we'll remove some of these sand islands over there to make it seem like it's more accessible. But I think I might build a port over there sometime. It's almost like, it's kind of weird. It's almost like every build I do, just I look at it and I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. Maybe I need to do this too to make it fit in better or something like that, you know? But yeah, this was a really fun build. We talked about Blackbeard. We talked about the Bodie Island Lighthouse. Talked about the Outer Banks. Built the lighthouse. Had a lot of fun this episode. A lot of yapping. A lot of yapping. But I am going to leave it off here. Thank you all so much for watching. Once again, my name is Slappy Burger. And I hope you have a blessed evening.